How's it going, folks? It's Rob here, and in today's clip we're going to do a little bit of an update on the Kratky and answer a couple of questions I got. So before we get into a couple of questions I've been asked with folks, I thought I'd give you a bit of a quick look at the pak choi and the other plants we have on the grow at the moment. As you can see, we've got a couple starting to go to flower. There's two different lots of nutrients, as you can probably see as well. We have a quarter dose of the bloom nutrients and a half dose. So I think next time around I'll definitely be going with the half dose. I've noticed that even though the quarter dose has grown okay, it's pretty much all stayed on par with the plants down in the veggie pod. Maybe done a little bit better than the plants down in the veggie pod. I have noticed it's been a little bit more susceptible to what I think could be a mite issue. There's definitely something having a bit of a munch on the leaves there, and I've noticed that we're getting a few deficiencies down further, even though nutrient wise we're probably around about just under half full with this one, and the half dose of nutrient tub, it's nearly all gone, and the roots just look a lot healthier as well. Those ones look a lot whiter to me than these ones in here. So yeah, definitely think I'll be sticking with the half dose solution from now on. Actually going to be taking out this one, the other flowering one, and maybe 2 or 3 more. I've got my eye on this big fella here to pop in a bit of a stir fry tonight. So we're going to start swapping these guys out. I'll try and get rid of 6 of them over the next couple of nights, and I'll get another lot of seedlings and then pop them through. I just haven't had any time to start off any of my own seeds at the moment, so I'm just going to be using seedlings. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way these guys have gone, and definitely will be doing a couple more batches until we get the aquaponics up and running correctly. So just move this bucket. I'll show you something else we've got on the go in a moment to do with that. But this is our little herb tote. We have 2 sweet basil cuttings. I've already tipped this one, it started to flower. So I took that one out, and I'm sort of coming out every day looking for flowers. Hopefully they'll start to kick off real soon. Things are starting to get a little bit warmer here. The little green onions down in this corner are doing okay. They haven't got the best roots setting on them at the moment, but they're slowly growing back. But the Thai mint is going great guns. It's put out a lot of growth on the side there. One thing I didn't do is I didn't fill the gaps in with some the insect netting, to stop any mozzies getting in there. But every time I've been down here and had a bit of a check, I've seen no wrigglers. And just to give you a bit of a look at the other root growth, those cuttings up the back are doing really well. And as you can see, this Thai mint has thrown a couple of stalks up from down the base there. So yeah, overall pretty happy with the way they're going. The little California Wonder capsicum, it's put on some nice growth here, and I think we've even got a flower bud or 2 starting to form in the middle there. So it'd be good to see a couple of fruit on before the fruit fly turn up. But when they do, we'll just put little fruit bags around these guys so they don't get struck. Little side shoots starting to come out down the bottom there. With these guys here, or this one in particular, I made the hole a little bit larger and stuck in a larger neck cup. I really didn't want to pull it out and damage the roots, so I've just got it sitting in a larger net cup. Lesson learned, I won't use those little narrow based ones again. We'll stick with the proper ones. Down here, the little bush cucumber, we're starting to see some flowers start to form down the base there, but we're having a bit of an issue with this one here. The roots are starting to turn green. So enough light is making it through the white top there that it's affecting the roots themselves. But I am going to have to put something over the top here just to shield it, to stop any algae forming on the roots. And as you saw, the roots, they're just too long to sit in another neck cup, so I'm just going to leave this one be. Just turn the light on, hoping you get a better look, but yeah, it's a bit hard to tell. But nutrient wise, we haven't used much at all. Probably only about 2 centimeters or 3/4 of an inch has been taken out of this one. This one up here, yeah, probably about the same. Probably just over an inch, about 1.25 inches or 30 mil. So yeah, a little bit of nutrient solution's gone, but not a lot. Now, just quickly talking about the nutrient solution, I've had a couple of questions Someone asked, and I forgot your name, I'm very sorry, asked about the water going stagnant down in the base here. They said they had a system and the water ended up going stagnant and slimy after a while. As far as I can tell, you shouldn't have an issue with that happening if you use the correct nutrients and don't add any organics down there. You should have no issues with that whatsoever. Another person has suggested that I need air bubblers down there. The whole idea of Kratky is that you have this little air gap. I'll open this up once more. As you can see, the roots, when the lid is down, won't go all the way into the water. So up at the top of the root section or at the base of the stem, the plant will put out a series of roots that are a lot better at taking up oxygen, while all the rest down here in the solution itself will be the ones that look after the nutrient uptake. I just noticed there's some little bits of green leaves I might try and fish out of there after we're done here. But yeah, that's pretty much all how it works under here. I mean, I could put a bubbler under there, but the whole idea of running the system like this was I didn't really want more infrastructure on the deck. I do have a power point over here, a bit of a spoiler, do have a power point over here, but I really didn't want to have to worry about air lines and compressors and that sort of thing. The next batch. As I said before, this one here had a quarter dose, as was suggested, and this one here had a half dose, and obviously the half dose has done a lot better. So next time around what I'm going to do is a half dose in one and a full dose in another, just to see if there's any variation in the growth. I got a bit sidetracked there. Back to the questions, and while we're talking nutrient, Kate over on Subscribestar, thank you for the support, Kate. She asked a question about the nutrient dosage, and with this stuff here, what I'm doing is I'm using, it's a 2 ml per litre. So what I'm using is 1 ml per litre for the half strength. I wouldn't worry about the quarter strength. And that's pretty much, well, what I'm using. She's also asked nutrient wise what I'm using for the fruiting plants, because obviously there's a different nutrient requirement between fruiting plants and greens plants. I did ask at the hydro store and they said there's enough potassium and phosphorus in these two, between the part A and the part B, to look after a plant like a California Wonder or just a small little compact bush cucumber, and just top it up with the nutrients as it falls. So yeah, and apparently that's going to be enough. So yeah, we'll see how we go. If it doesn't work out, might have to try something else down the road. Kate also asked about the EC and the pH and whether to worry about it in this style of system. I'm not going to worry about it, mainly because, as you saw before, the water's all being used up, or the nutrient solution, sorry, is all being used up, and then we'll put fresh lot in there once the next crop goes in. You just got to make sure that the pH is fairly low, low 6s to high 5s when you start out, and then all should be great to go, especially with these guys. These can take a slightly higher pH all the way up to the high 6s, but yeah, I'm just going to use the water that comes out of the reverse osmosis for the moment. Comes in at about 6.1 maybe if it's high, and yeah, then dose it up with the nutrients, which then tend to bring the pH down a little bit more. So that's it for the questions. I'll give you a bit of a look at what I purchased from Aqua Gardening yesterday. This is called an Autopot. So basically what it is, a little reservoir down the bottom there. You pop your pot in it with some perlite. I'm going to be using some perlite. And down here we have a little auto top-up float valve. Just have a look at the name. It's actually called a smart valve, sorry. And it's put out by Autopot, which is an Aussie company. And the idea is that we have a reservoir here. This is our old water reservoir for the wet pots. And we have a connecting tube here that runs down. There's another little valve there that you can turn it on and off into the float valve. This basically fills up, floods. Once all the water's used, it tops up again. So it's just basically, as the name suggests, an auto pot. And in this one here, what I'm going to be popping out, they're my Jimmy Nardellos and bull's horns, by the way. What I'm going to be popping out is this basil. Later on down the track, I'm actually going to pop one of those Jimmy Nardellos or bull's horn capsicums in there as well, because as you can see, it's a fairly large pot. And due to all the nutrients being supplied by the reservoir, I don't have to worry about overcrowding the pot too much, I don't think. So what I thought I might do is I might actually plant that guy out for you now. We'll mix up the nutrients. I won't make you sit through all of it, and then we'll plant it out. So just to show you the pH of the water before we add any of the nutrients in. It should be sitting around about 6 to 6.2-ish the most. So there we go, sitting at about 6.2. And then yeah, we'll pop 30 mils of the nutrients in and we'll see what it reads. Might be a bit hard for you to see there, but this is 30 mils of part A, and that goes in first. Now in goes 30 millilitres of part B. Give this a bit of a stir. Now I'm actually going to have to mix up a couple of buckets of this. I want 30 litres in the reservoir, but I'll just show you this one here. Won't make you sit through all of it. Now to go pop this in the reservoir. Might be a bit hard to make out down there, but yeah, that's covered the outlet. I forgot to show you this yesterday when I filmed, but the pH of the nutrient solution is 5.5, which is at the low end of the sweet spot, which is between 5.5 and 6.5. So what I'm going to do now is just come down here and turn this on. And then down here on this little valve, oh, it's already on. And nutrient solution should start to come through down the bottom there. Just to give you a bit of a closer look at how this little smart valve works. The water comes in, there's a little float in there that while it's down, it allows water to pass, but as it rises, it cuts off the flow. There's a little cutout on this section between the pot and the little float valve housing. And yeah, that's pretty much where the nutrient solution comes through. There's this little plastic sleeve that goes in there. And then on top of that, we have the pot itself. In the base of the pot here, we have a little bit of cloth, just sits in here, and that's primarily, from my understanding, just to stop the perlite or vermiculite or whatever material you're using in here going through to the reservoir itself. So I'm just going to pop that down in there. Before this plant goes in, I'm going to try and wash the bulk of the soil out. I don't think it's going to cause too much of an issue if there's a little bit of potting mix left on there. I'm going to try to get the bulk of it out. I might even break off some of the roots down the bottom, because being a basil, it's actually a basil mint hybrid. Yeah, I think it'll grow back rather quickly. So just tease out a lot of the ones down the base there. So there we go, folks. Definitely not perfect, but yeah, most of the soil is out. Now, to get it in here, it's just a matter of pulling this moist perlite to one side, and then I'm trying to get the roots down as far as we can. Now this perlite will wick up, so I'm not too concerned about the plant drying out. Just realised I really want this plant over to one side, so it's easy enough just to pull it out and pop her in again. So I might just push her in a little bit further and just try and keep her upright. She might blow over the next day or so until the roots get established. I might come out a little bit later and nip off a branch or two and throw them in the stir fry as well. Just so you know, she's not trying to push too much water, nutrients to every part of the plant. And there's more than enough room around the front there just to pop one of those other little seedlings when they're ready. Down here in the reservoir, yeah, she's almost, I'd say, at level. So it comes up a fair way because the water needs to get into the base of this, and then from there it'll just wick up through the perlite itself. So there you go. The little Autopot is all set up and growing along. So now all I have to do is harvest a couple of these for tonight's dinner, and I'm pretty much all done for the day, and I'll pop a picture or two at the end for you folks to check out. Before I go, I really would like to thank all you folks who do leave the comments and questions underneath the clips, and those folks who share them around. Really do appreciate it. And also need to give a huge thanks and shout out to those marvellous folks who are supporting us on all the various different platforms where you can support content creators here on YouTube. I really do appreciate it, folks. As always, you can check out our super contributors links and Facebook pages down in the description below. But I will wrap it up there. Got to get these things ready for dinner before B gets home. Hope you have a fantastic one, folks, and I'll catch you later. Cheers all. Harvested 4 of the pak choi from the Kratky system and added them into a wok along with some garlic, some ginger, slithered king oyster mushrooms, green shallots, and some pork. And to that we also added in some Chinese cooking wine, some oyster sauce, and at the end a drizzle of sesame oil. And it was very tasty indeed. Cheers folks, have a top one.